Look at these scenes. You might think this is a chaotic, unstable, and insecure country. But no, this is America right now. There are streets no one dares to drive through, even in broad daylight. The once peaceful and bustling neighborhoods are now blanketed in tents, trash, and even rats darting around like they own the place. The vacant stares of those who have nowhere left to go. It's heartbreaking. Why are there places like this in America, a country long considered the richest in the world? Billions of dollars are funneled into support programs, yet the number of homeless keeps rising. It's becoming alarming. So much so that in some places, police officers don't even dare step in. The law has all but vanished, and the people? They're beginning to flee. In this documentary, we'll dive into 10 U.S. states now considered homeless hellscapes where justice, safety, and even hope have seemingly disappeared. This content is compiled from reputable sources and grounded in social observation. Our aim is not to attack, but to paint a multi-dimensional picture so you, the viewer, can reflect and form your own understanding. And if you think this doesn't concern you, think again. Because if they can lose everything, you can too. Number 1. California. California, the land of sunshine, blue seas, and the American dream. Yet behind the luxury lights and modern billboards lie streets crowded with tents where thousands of Americans, elderly, veterans, even children, live in neglect. California currently has over 170,000 homeless individuals, accounting for nearly 1/3 of the entire nation. In Los Angeles alone, over 46,000 people lack stable housing. In Skid Row, just a few city blocks are home to more than 2,000 people, camped tightly together without electricity, clean water, or restrooms. In San Francisco's Tenderloin district, even the police hesitate to enter. What was once a temporary crisis has now become a disturbing ecosystem at the heart of a wealthy state. So why has the situation become so dire? Yes, California boasts a high average income, but its cost of living is suffocating. In Los Angeles, the average rent hits nearly $2,500 per month, almost double the national average. For retirees, low-wage workers, or those who lose their jobs due to illness, this becomes unlivable. Support programs? Many have been cut or delayed. Legal protections prevent cities from evicting homeless from public spaces, creating a paralyzing choice: be humane or maintain order. These are not just numbers. They're the real stories of people who once had dreams, who once believed in the American promise. A former construction worker in San Fernando Valley said, "Clearly, I did nothing wrong. I just can't keep up. Everything is too expensive. I don't have much money left." Absurd? Maybe. But for tens of thousands, it's a daily reality. When tax-paying citizens end up sleeping under trees, one must ask, has the system failed them? California once stood as a model for the nation. Today, it serves as a warning. If the richest, most progressive state in America can fall due to homelessness, number 2, Oregon, Portland. Once called the Emerald City of the Pacific Northwest, Portland now sends shivers down the nation's spine. Under its lush, green trees beside the Willamette River lies a truth few outsiders dare to confront. By the end of 2024, over 18,000 people in Oregon will be without stable housing, with nearly half in Portland. Parks that once welcomed families now sprawl with tents. Some districts warn residents not to walk alone after sunset. According to official stats, 911 calls related to homelessness have doubled in just 2 years, linked to violence, mental health crises, and public disorder. Yet the police and medical staff are withdrawing. Why? In a bid to help, Portland relaxed its anti-camping laws, no longer penalizing or removing homeless individuals out of compassion. But this led to a surge in unregulated camps, turning neighborhoods into no-go zones. Despite millions spent on aid programs, the city suffers from lack of manpower, oversight, and soaring construction costs. Housing prices have jumped over 30% since the pandemic. All it takes is one setback, a medical bill, a layoff, and a family can lose their home. One single mother, formerly a library assistant, shared, "I hug my child to sleep, afraid someone will knock on our car window. In the morning, we wash at a gas station. I try to make my kids look clean so they can go to school." This isn't an isolated case. It's becoming common in what used to be America's safest cities. Yes, Portland prides itself on being progressive, but tolerance alone cannot hold up a collapsing system. Now people are asking themselves, could I be next? Will my children sleep in a tent one day? When kindness isn't backed by structure, it turns into chaos. And perhaps, it's time for Oregon to change. Can Portland recover? Or is this just the beginning of a city we'll no longer recognize? Number 3. Washington, Seattle. Seattle, birthplace of Amazon, Starbucks, Microsoft. A symbol of innovation and the middle-class dream. But now, people here don't talk much about tech. They talk about the fear of stepping outside their homes. Washington has over 25,000 homeless people. In Seattle, places like bus stations, transit hubs, even hospital entrances have become night shelters for hundreds. Damp sleeping bags, dusty backpacks, and cold nights, these aren't just scenes. They are daily battles for survival. It's no longer about who is homeless, but rather who will be the next. Many here are veterans, the same men and women who once served this country. But after returning home, they face mental scars, isolation, and a broken reintegration system. While support programs exist, many veterans are out of touch, lack documentation, or simply don't know where to turn. Meanwhile, rents in Seattle have skyrocketed over 40% in just 5 years. A retired vet living on a modest pension? They can't afford a place when average rent tops $2,000 per month. So they fade into the margins, quietly. One veteran said, "I never thought I'd live in a bus station, with 2 old coats and a box of charity food." These aren't failures of the individual. They're failures of the system. Number 4. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, once the ideal city for retirement and calm, has become a brutal test of endurance for its people. Will Arizona continue to expand its million-dollar neighborhoods while ignoring those sleeping on the sidewalks? Or is it finally time for us to reflect deeply on the kind of society we want to become? Number 5. Austin, Texas. In downtown Austin, the soothing sound of guitars flows from trendy bars. But just a few blocks away, another soundtrack rises, the rustling of tarps, the soft footsteps of those with nowhere to go. Austin was once hailed as America's most creative city, a paradise for young people, artists, and tech engineers. Yet in 2025, it ranks among the top urban areas with the fastest-growing homeless population. According to the Echo report, more than 5,000 people live without shelter in Austin, many forced to set up tents outside newly built tech facilities or sleep in cars parked in supermarket lots. Temporary tents have sprung up under the bridges near Lady Bird Lake, right next to bus stops. Sometimes, the vibrant city and the helpless city blur into one. Austin is not short of money. So what has turned this dream destination into a place where many American dreams are fading away? The answer: Austin is developing too fast. The tech boom and real estate investments have caused rents to skyrocket by more than 80% in less than a decade, pushing working-class residents out of the central areas. Moreover, laws banning camping in public places, once repealed to help homeless people survive, have been reintroduced after resident backlash, forcing many to constantly relocate and live in unsafe conditions. These numbers aren't just data, they represent real lives, people who once helped build this city. A former sound technician for Austin's music scene shared, "I used to mix sound for hundreds of shows. Now I hear the patrol boots every night, wondering if they'll chase me away." Austin is racing ahead like an express train. But is there anyone left waiting at the station? When urban development favors only the wealthy and privileged, the honest workers easily become forgotten. Ironically, a city once proud of its welcoming spirit now seems lacking compassion for those in greatest need. Rapid growth has gifted Austin with taller buildings and larger stages, but sometimes what's missing is just a small roof and a simple greeting. Austin remains a city of dreamers, music, and compassion. But if we don't act soon, those shimmering lights will only reflect the dark spots we dare not face. 6. Denver, Colorado. From the top of the Rocky Mountains, Denver looks modern, bustling, and vibrant. But walk down Colfax Avenue on a late afternoon, and you'll see a starkly different scene: shopping carts overflowing with belongings, tents crowded on sidewalks, and empty stairs once climbed by stable lives. With solemn tone, Denver has seen one of the highest increases in homelessness in the western U.S. from 2024 to 2025. Over 9,000 people lack stable housing, many living in unsafe conditions without clean water or medical care. Authorities regularly clear tent areas, only to see them filled again days later. It's an endless cycle of moving out, moving back in for those with nowhere else to turn. What has pushed this beloved city into such despair? Denver used to symbolize the perfect balance of urban life and nature, but recent years have seen average rents increase by more than 70%, while minimum wage and housing assistance have not kept pace. The shortage of affordable housing, combined with insufficient psychological and public health services, has forced those with stable jobs, drivers, security guards, warehouse workers, into the streets. Many assistance programs have been cut, overwhelming the welfare system and leaving the most vulnerable without support. People want to help but don't know how. Meanwhile, authorities seem focused more on image cleanup campaigns than addressing the people behind the problem. In this modern city of skyscrapers, sometimes all someone has left is a piece of cardboard and an old coat. Denver is not lacking money or kindness, but it lacks a system strong enough to catch those who stumble. And if this can happen in a wealthy, civilized city, how many more places face a similar future? Number 7. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas, where the lights never go out and dreams are made, hides a darker truth just streets away. Hundreds may live underground in sewer systems without electricity, clean water, or escape. More than 6,500 people here lack stable housing, with many more living temporarily in cars or uncounted areas. Many were once servers, drivers, even resort managers, jobs that once guaranteed a stable income. But as the tourism industry declined and rents skyrocketed, support policies lagged behind, forcing people to seek shelter underground. Las Vegas relies heavily on tourism and casinos, industries vulnerable to economic crises. The COVID pandemic caused massive job losses in hotels, restaurants, and services. Meanwhile, rental prices have increased over 60% in 5 years. Without strong social housing and temporary support, many have fallen into hardship after just months of unemployment or illness. Las Vegas is the city that never sleeps. But behind the bright lights lies a hidden world where citizens left behind by the system struggle to survive each day. It's absurd. A city that rakes in billions from tourism and gambling each year still has thousands with no roof to sleep under. If a city that never sleeps lets thousands sleep under the stars, maybe it's time for America to wake up before it's too late. Number 8. New York. New York, the symbol of modern America, the heart of finance, culture, fashion, and art. People flock here to chase their dreams. Yet thousands quietly lose everything in the city of opportunity. The Coalition for the Homeless reports over 90,000 people without stable housing in New York, the highest in the nation. In the city's heart, many sleep in the subway at night, on benches, or curled under stairs. Clutching their small backpacks tightly, their only treasures left. Shockingly, people have grown so used to this that they barely notice. New York has some of the highest living costs in the U.S. The average rent for a small apartment exceeds $3,000 a month, while many elderly receive pensions between $1,600 and $2,000, even as a dinner nearby costs $1,000. Right around the corner, an old man begs for a leftover piece of bread. This isn't a movie scene. It's the harsh reality every day in Manhattan. The wealth gap here is as stark as the border between two worlds, luxury restaurants and penthouses on one side. A bus station where a 65-year-old former teacher wraps himself in a worn blanket on the other, unable to afford a sweater. Though New York offers many charities, shelters, free kitchens, and housing subsidies, the system is complex, slow, and often inaccessible due to lack of documentation, technology, or mental health issues. Some even choose to sleep outdoors rather than face the crowded, privacy-lacking conditions of shelters. The American dream begins in New York. But today, it has become a luxury for those once part of society. Has New York focused too much on skyscrapers, forgetting those living in their shadows? If even New York lets its people fall through the cracks, then where else is truly safe? Number 9. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, once the symbol of hardworking America, a place to raise a family and live steadily, now sees many of its own forced to sleep outside amidst car horns and cold winter winds. Illinois, especially Chicago, faces a heartbreaking reality. Nearly 68,000 homeless people in 2024, according to the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless. More worrying, nearly a quarter of them had stable housing just 12 months ago, falling into homelessness quickly and unexpectedly. Increasingly, middle-aged and elderly women, former nurses, secretaries, administrative staff who lost jobs or were financially devastated by the pandemic are now on the streets. Chicago was once an industrial hub where the middle class thrived. But over the past decade, it has struggled with public debt, unemployment, and budget instability. Affordable housing programs have been cut while rents steadily rise. Rising crime and a shortage of healthcare and social workers have overwhelmed many areas, making timely support nearly impossible. Once the pride of American workers, where a craftsman could support a family with his hands, those hands now struggle to hold on to a roof. Chicago is not lacking in kindness, but it lacks a flexible, humane system to ensure a full-time worker doesn't end up sleeping in their car. A child going to school shouldn't have to hide that they have no home to return to. Number 10. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Near the Liberty Bell, a symbol of freedom, lies an ironic reality. Dozens of elderly people sit quietly by tents, sipping charity coffee. They were once neighbors, teachers, veterans. Now they are left with only names and oblivion. Philadelphia currently has the highest number of homeless on the East Coast, about 5,400 people without stable housing. Nearly 30% are aged 55 and older, an age when many expect rest and security, not the insecurity of sleeping in cars, under bridges, or in shelters. Veterans form a large part of this population, many suffering PTSD, depression, and physical injuries. Philadelphia's homeless shelters struggle to keep pace with growing demand and underfunded mental health services. This leaves the elderly to survive in harsh conditions during winter and summer alike. It's a silent crisis, their faces forgotten by society, their stories untold. The Liberty Bell stands for freedom, but in Philadelphia today, many remain trapped in poverty and despair. A volunteer described a woman, once a school librarian, who now sleeps under a freeway with her dog. Her story is not unique, but a stark reminder of what happens when social support fails. Freedom means little when survival is the daily challenge. This isn't just a list of cities, it's a warning. The homeless crisis is America's crisis. It's the test of our values, our compassion, and our humanity. Moving tents and clearing camps only hides the problem. Until America builds a future where everyone has a roof, a warm bed, and a second chance, thousands will continue to fall through the cracks. Are we willing to look away, or will we fight together to restore hope and dignity to the forgotten? Because homelessness is not just about the streets, it's about us.